Those of you finished your meeting, go right ahead and finish. We're going to go on with some business here. First, I'd like to introduce you to Sally Young. Probably most of you know her. And this beautiful sculpture that we see here, she's got a little explanation of how she did this.
Hello everyone. I'm a very proud mother of one of my sons, Bart Young, who lives in Patagonia, Arizona. He is a wood artist, and when he starts a project, he doesn't know what he's going to do. He has no idea. So he had the privilege of this beautiful piece of mesquite tree. It's like a slice of a trunk. So it's all one piece. And when he's doing it again, he had no idea what it would be. Because but it had this boy in it with a suspended piece in it that became the baby. Generally, as I say, he doesn't know what's going to be. But the idea of a suspended something was already in the wood. The reason for a baby on one side and natural on the other is a result of what the piece came to him. The body represents humanity, and the other side represents the natural world. In my mind, he says, it's a reminder of where we came from and what sustains us. The earth as a mother. Seems to me, with our modern toys and gadgets, we lost that connection and need to remember it. That's what I see. But with art and life, everyone can interpret it in any way they feel. So it was a gift to me, and I always wanted to be able to bring it to this particular time because I thought it just fit into this right life. So the baby. He or she was there. It's really quite wonderful. And it's just like you never know what's going to present us with something that is extraordinary for me. So anyway, that's what I got along this morning there this evening, and just wanted you to see it and to share it. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Sally. That's beautiful. And then at this time we have another lady by the name of Monica Seeker, who is from Bloomington, and she has been, or is, I'm not sure, because it has been or is the president of 40 Days for Life. She is a mother of 6, and she not only is 40 Days for Life and also Sidewalk Advocates for Life. Monica also leads a live broadcast on Thursday morning prayer vigil at the Bloomington Planned Parenthood over the airways of the local Catholic radio station, WOMB Radio 89.9. Been a very busy lady. There is a Planned Parenthood, which is an abortion clinic or center or whatever you want to call that in Bloomington, which they like to get around their college kids. But she has been faithful, her and her children and husband, in going there and praying. And she is going to tell us about the 40 days of prayer. Monica.
evening, everyone, and thank you, Louie and Daviess tonight for inviting me to say a few words this evening on some of the wonderful things going on in Bloomington with regards to the pro-life movement there. And for those of you who are not aware of the specifics, the Bloomington Planned Parenthood performs on average about 21 abortions every Thursday. And women from all across central and southern Indiana, northern Kentucky, and eastern Illinois come there. It is my desire to inspire with you during these next few minutes great hope for the future, to encourage you to get involved, and to let you know that it is the beginning of the end of abortion, and all we need to do is to persevere in this fight. Now, just a few weeks ago, while counseling outside of the Bloomington Planned Parenthood, I was listening to a young man reminisce about the one-year anniversary of his conversion over to the pro-life movement. This fellow had been a frequent and at times violent persecutor of those who stood and prayed outside of this abortion center. It was David Delight's videos that finally convinced him that yes, this is a human person, a baby, that every time an abortion is committed. It was through the constant prayers and witness of those standing outside of the Bloomington Planned Parenthood in conjunction with those videos that changed his heart, for which he is now eternally grateful. And there are many other such stories and injuries. These accounts are made possible in part because of the great sidewalk counseling program that is being implemented there that allows us to share the gospel of life and provide tangible help to women going in who think they have no other choice. We've had many women reject the violence of abortion, and many Planned Parenthood employees have left. By the grace of God, we are helping to change minds and hearts and planting seeds within the Bloomington community, even amidst some great challenges. And we are seeing cracks within the walls of the culture of death. Another vital component to the pro-life movement is 40 Days for Life. With the help of surrounding communities, including several of you who are here this evening, Bloomington is able to participate twice a year in this campaign, where a prayer vigil is held outside of the Bloomington Planned Parenthood for 12 hours every day of those 40 days. This type of sacrifice and constancy in prayer has borne great fruit. And one of the most remarkable results that I'm happy to share with you this evening is that within 2 to 3 yards of the Planned Parenthood building, a women's care center will be opening up at the end of this year or the beginning of early next year, thanks be to God. The pink awning is already up, and that collar is going to be reclaimed by those who will offer authentic women's health care. We anticipate a significant drop in abortion numbers after the center opens, and pregnant women can get the help they need. Bloomington has also recently acquired a mobile pregnancy care unit with an ultrasound on board and outfitted to do pre-pregnancy tests and within time STD testing. This unit will make its rounds to local fairs, schools, and hopefully the IU campus. It's called the Hope Mobile, and it will work with the Hannah Center to reach out to women who are in need. Now, I often encourage everyone in the pro-life movement to look to the example of Mother Teresa of Calcutta in our fight to overcome the greatest human rights injustice of our time. She and her sisters, with great love, would walk the streets of Calcutta and elsewhere, picking up the physical bodies of the sick and the dying. And we too do a very similar thing. We are out there picking up and giving hope and love to those dying souls that have been left decimated by a culture of death and impurity. Mother Teresa ministered to the unwanted, those whom society deemed as a burden or as an inconvenience. And we do the very same thing in our pro-life work. Mother Teresa once said, "I do not agree with the big way of doing things. To me, what matters is the individual." Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry may have big money, big government, big media and big advertising on their side. But we have that little child conceived in a womb, born in a lowly stable in Bethlehem, who chose the weak and small things of the world in order to shame the mighty and strong. We will have victory because ours is a movement born of love, not violence, of life, not death, of hope, not despair. My dear brothers and sisters, as companions in this glorious movement for the gospel of life, let us be renewed and take heart this evening, because even though it is very dark in our world right now, and it will probably get even darker before it's all over, the dawn is approaching. I encourage you to let this evening be for you a renewal of your commitment to the cause of life, and to pledge to allow yourself to be inconvenienced and get more involved. I'd love to have your help with either 40 Days for Life or Sidewalk Advocates for Life, and you can speak with me after the banquet for more information on those 2 o'clock points. Thank you for allowing me these few minutes to share with you the good things going on in Bloomington. Thank you for your prayers and commitment to life. Let's keep fighting the good fight together, striving to save both lives and souls for the greater honor and glory of God. God bless you.
Thank you, Monica. You're doing great work. On your tables, you see these little envelopes. Those are for donations. So if God lays it up on your heart to write a check, put $1 in, put a penny in, whatever, all of this money goes for the cause. And we're not paid. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Yolanda Taylor, who is the director of the Pregnancy Care Center in Washington, Indiana. And she has some comments on the Pregnancy Care Center and some of their plans, and then a prayer for the closing of the abortion clinic.
My name is Yolanda Taylor, and I've been the director of the Pregnancy Care Center now for really close to a year. The end of this month it will be a year. So it's gone by really, really fast. We're busy at the center. Every day has its challenges, but every day we are met with the blessings of God. He is so much bigger than the challenges that we face. I've been married to my husband Tom for 30 years, and we have 3 grown children. There's Jordan, and he's married to my daughter-in-law, Monica. Rachel, she's married to my son-in-law, Nate Richardson, and Jacob, who is still at home. We are grandparents of 2 grandsons, Maddox and Michael, and we have a granddaughter on the way who pretty much any time next week. I wanted to let you know a little bit about what we do at the center. We are able to minister to the families that come into the center every day. We're open Monday through Thursday from 9 to 4, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and then 9 to 6 on Wednesdays. Within that time, we have 410 active clients, and then we average around 130 client visits per month. We are steadily increasing the fees each month with 164 client visits just in September. So I'm excited to tell you about some of the things that we are looking at for the future. The Women's Life Services Board, which is our board over the Pregnancy Care Center as well as the Women's Resource Center, recently in June voted to pursue a medical conversion so that we will be able to offer limited medical services, which are pregnancy tests and ultrasound. So women who come to see us that are abortion-minded, when a center is not medically converted, About 20% of those women will see their pregnancies through to term. But when a center converts to medical, that jumps to 80%. So we will see a rise in our clientele as well. So we're excited about that. The agency that we're going to enlist to help us with this medical conversion is NIFLA, which is the National Institute of Family and Life Advocates. And right now we're looking at a cost of $9,500 to engage NIFLA, and we've raised roughly $3,600 of that goal. This includes board training, policies and procedures that we'll need to go through for the legal facets of the conversion. And once we complete the initial phase of this conversion, we're going to still need some money for ultrasound and a nurse who will come on site those days so that she will be able to be an ultrasound technician. So we are planning some fundraisers this fall to accomplish that initial $9,500 goal, and then again we'll need more funding for the ultrasound. We are so blessed to be able to be the hands and feet to what the Right to Life does. And you work so hard to move the legislation forward on behalf of life, and we are grateful. You help us to minister to the families who would otherwise have nowhere to go to get the help that they need when they are the most vulnerable. So you are allowing us to be the first choice for life in our community, and I'm very grateful. So with that, we bow your heads and we'll pray for the closing of abortion clinics. Father God, you're so good. You're the author of life. You're the creator of life. And we're so grateful to you, Father, for the lives of the people in this room, but the lives of those that hang the balance, Father, need you. They need you to move the hearts of the moms and the dads of the babies that are conceived, Father. And the moms who seem to have nowhere to go. Father, I pray that you would send them to places like the Pregnancy Care Center and the resource centers across this state, across this country, God, across this world. Father, I pray that you would convict the hearts of those who work in the abortion clinics, that they would see what they're doing, Father, that they're destroying lives, not just the lives of babies, but the lives of the moms who carry them. They will carry scars well into their adulthood, Father, and we want to be there to be helpful to them, to show them love and to show them life, to be able to walk with them through their trying time, Father. Father God, I just pray that you would just forgive us as a nation who has embraced this culture of death. Father, I pray that you would just help us to turn to you, and that we would embrace life, and that we would see that it's you who creates that. And we have no right, God, to any of that. And so, Father, I know that you've been at work. You've been closing these clinics all over the place. I just pray that you just continue to do so. Help us to be on our knees, Father, every day for those women who just seem to think that they have nowhere else to go. And help them to know, help them to come into contact with somebody who loves you, who loves them, and who loves the life that they carry. And help them to see that they can make the choice for life that will make a difference for them for the rest of their lives, God. So protect those babies, protect those moms, protect those families, Father. In the name of Jesus. Amen.
Okay, I think that brings us now to introduce our leader, Mr. Lewis Kavanaugh. I don't know what we would do without him. I'm not sure what there would be at this point in time. A right to life in Daviess County, and he reaches out to Martin County, to Pike County. He's a busy man, and he has given of his time for many years. He and his wife support him in the background. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Louis, and Louis, we thank you for all your hard work.
And of course, I do have to acknowledge my wife, for the many hours that I put in, and we've been in this for a long time. So, I don't know if you know or not, but we have a makeshift PA system here tonight, and thanks to Alan and Van Lagerty for putting this together. The lightning must have struck the building, I think, last Thursday or Friday, as we put in last night trying to set up. Nothing before. So thanks to them, we have a PA system. And can you hear us all right in the back? I'll try to. Everybody, Mike, Joan back here, you can hear fine? Okay, good. All right. I'll go on with the, first of all, acknowledge these banquet book. There's something to tables if you're one of the advertisers in it, and if you can't have it, or there's not one at your table, we'll be glad to get you one. And of course, the Delta family, the sisters on the front and the back, we'll introduce them a little bit later. But the ads, there's history in there, so we want to thank all those sponsors that have helped us with the ads, and thank everyone, not only those that for your attendance tonight, but those that sold the tickets, and whatever that you've done to help put this together. Because a lot of proceeds from this banquet goes to the Pregnancy Care Center, so it's not necessarily us that get the money. I do want to introduce now the elected officials of the year. We thank you for taking the time to be with us. And I ask that we'll start with the county first and ask you to remain standing. First of all, from the Superior Court Judge, Dean Specky, please stand. Prosecuting Attorney, Dan Murray. County Circuit Clerk, Janice Williams. Reporter, Jamie Chapman, who's running for re-election. Treasurer, Elaine Wellman, who's running for election and re-election. And the Sheriff, Jerry Harpside. Assessor, Dennis Eaton. And also the Mayor of Washington, Mayor Joe Wellman. Running for County Commissioner of the 1st District, Mark Smith. From Pike County, Brad Hampton, who's running for County Commissioner down there. And I think that's all the county. I missed anybody, I apologize. Let's give him a big hand. We appreciate him being here. I did miss him. Ken Morris, who's running for County Council, right? Who's running for primary. Sorry, also, the state office holders that are here from District 63, Mike Braun, who's running for re-election, remain standing, and State Representative District 62, Jeff Ellington, who's running for re-election, and representing Mark Mesper, who's normally here, is his wife, Mrs. Mesper. I can't think of her first name. Kim, thank you. And also State Senator from 48th District, Mark Messner. State Senate District 39, Eric Madison. So thank you very much for being here. All three people, At this time, I'd like to, we have a special guest here. Our Congressman, Larry Sean, is here. And we want to give him a little opportunity to say a few words. Larry is on the committee investigating Planned Parenthood. And I know a lot of the media is not putting out the information from this committee hearing. I'm going to give him just a few minutes tonight to talk a little bit about it. So this time, Larry, you come forward.
Thank you for all you're doing. It's great to be here. And, like all of you, we all know that our nation is facing really some substantial challenges, both here in our own country and across the world. And no challenge can be more important than continue our work to protect the lives of the unborn. And I haven't forgotten that. Many of you have argued that this fight is really about the character of our nation, and I agree. And everyone that argues that are right. I'm a man of faith, a father of four, and these principles help guide me in my efforts in this fight. As Louis mentioned, I am a member of the Select Committee, which I'll get to in just a bit, but I want to outline what I've done in Congress since I've been there. I've supported legislation that completely defunded Planned Parenthood and diverted those funds to health centers to deliver real comprehensive women's health care. That actually got to the President's desk to veto that. I've sponsored legislation that prevents the use of federal dollars for funding abortions, bans late-term abortions, and also gives the states the autonomy to exclude healthcare providers who perform or participate abortions from participating in Medicare. Now that hasn't happened, but at the federal level, I support legislation to make that happen. And lastly, I have a 100% voting record with National Right to Life, which of course I plan to maintain. The Investigative Committee on Infant Lives, led by Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, is extremely important. And what I found out is the links that our opponents in this fight will go to protect Planned Parenthood. And if you have the opportunity, if you're bored one night, you can find some of our hearings on C-SPAN. And you can hear what our opponents say about us, all of us who are pro-life, and all the things that they say to protect Planned Parenthood and other organizations like that. But we're planning to continue this fight, and we're making substantial progress. What we've found so far, all of us should be appalled at. Indeed, there is an industry that is making millions of dollars off of selling human fetal body parts. This is not something that we're making up. This is the facts. Millions of dollars selling fetal aborted body parts of human beings. And I can tell you we're going to hold them accountable. We've already subpoenaed almost everybody that we can. But guess what? Many of them are ignoring our subpoenas. So before we left session recently, in our committee, we voted to hold STEM Express, one of the middlemen, in contempt of the United States Congress for not releasing their financial records and the records of their patients. That they are helping, the patients from Planned Parenthood, that they are helping get that fetal tissue from. And we're going to probably hold a vote in the entire Congress, and that's up to the leadership, not up to me, to hold this organization and many others in contempt of Congress. And the way I look at it is this. If what they say is true, that this really doesn't exist, what are they so afraid of? Why are they afraid to release financial records from STEM Express and these middlemen to show us their financial records if they say that they're not making any money off of this process, and they say that Planned Parenthood has not made any money off of this process? Why won't they release the records? Well, we're going to continue to push them to do so, and everyone that doesn't is going to be held in contempt of Congress. And of course, if we get the right administration in place, the Justice Department will go after these people. Of course, our current Justice Department is ignoring us. They're ignoring us. In fact, they're on the other side of this fight from you. So, did anyone see Governor Pence the other night on the debate? Did we watch the debate? What a job! Our governor did. And one of the key moments in that debate was right at the end of the debate, when they talked about, Governor Pence talked about his faith and his pro-life positions that he's taken, not only publicly, but in his own heart. And his opponent says he's pro-life. We know people in our own state that say these things, right? But when it comes to becoming an elected official, for some reason they forget. And Governor Pence, I thought, did a tremendous job of showing what a true pro-life government official stands for in defense of life nationally. And he has been praised across the country for what he said on that and many other issues. So it's really important for you all to be here tonight. We have made tremendous headway at the national level. We're going to continue in the fight, and we're winning. We are winning this fight. Abortions across the country are dramatically down compared to past history. But the fight is not over. All I would suggest to you is to look at the record of your elected officials, examine my pro-life record, and vote for candidates that support pro-life positions. Don't believe people who say so publicly, but when they get behind the closed doors of the government, they don't support us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. This leads into a part that a lot of people think, maybe right to life is too political, but this is the only way we're going to turn things around. On your table is a voter guide put out by Daviess County. And by the way, Daviess County does not endorse candidates, but they do take the information put out of the Indiana Right to Life Political Action Committee, and they recommend who supports the pro-life position, who does not. And of course, the Indiana Right to Life, PAC, they send questionnaires to the candidates. They take whether they voting records or incumbent, and of course, public statements that these individuals have made. And what Larry was mentioning about voting for life, this is something that's really, I hear people say, oh yes, I'm voting for life. But do you really know what voting for life means? That means not voting for candidates who support abortion. And here's an example. On the state level, for the U.S. Senate, Evan Bayh, who was the governor of our state of Indiana, and John Gregg, when he was Speaker of the House, they conspired to kill all pro-life bills. John Gregg would send them to committees that he knew the committee chairman was pro-abortion, and that bill would not see the light of day. And their opponents have a pro-life position. This is an example of what we say when right here, the information's put together for you. Who is pro-life and who is not pro-life? So I know that some people don't like it. You don't have the right to life gets political, but at the same time, we need to get this information out there to people to let them know, who is pro-life and who is not pro-life. And also, I want to mention one other thing. This is carried over to the churches. Pastors over here, they try to tell pastors they cannot do anything in the church. This is not true. They cannot endorse a candidate. That's true. They cannot. But they can say, don't vote for a candidate who supports abortion. They can do that. And, I mean, we have been battling this for a long time, and it's very discouraging when this comes about. So we ask that you take the voter guides, look over, and vote for it. I'm telling you who to vote for it, but vote for life. Okay, Bill, Amanda, you want to come up now? I'll get off my soapbox. As we mentioned, the Right to Life Banquet book, each year we select an adopted family for the front cover, and also the picture on the back is the family. And this is a very unique story this year because of when Amber and Bill was expecting their first child, she found out she had cancer. And so, Amber, if you feel up to it, I'll just let you tell the story. How's that? Okay?
Hi, thank you. We are so honored to be here, and thank you all very much for coming. It's a great organization. Yes, like Louis said, at 12 weeks pregnant, after a long battle in fertility, I was diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer, estrogen progesterone positive. So I was automatically sent to IU Medical Center in Indianapolis to a fabulous doctor named Dr. Brian Snyder, who thankfully said, I can take care of you and your baby. And yes, you are going to receive treatment, so you will be here to raise this child. So I did receive 8 rounds of chemo and had 2 surgeries while pregnant with my son. At the time, I didn't realize how lucky I was that he never mentioned terminating the pregnancy. Thankfully, those words never came out of his mouth, because in other parts of the country, women were being told that that was their only option, especially at only being 12 weeks. I know of a woman that came to Dr. Schneider, found him, came to him for treatment, and our son Jackson, Dr. Schneider showed a picture of him to her to encourage her that, her baby and her we're going to be okay, and we're going to make it through this. So that's our amazing story with our son Jackson. He was born healthy at 37 weeks. Thanks a lot to a lot of prayers from this entire community, lots of you sitting out here, and my parents, and of course God. Yeah, for sure, the big guy. And then because of that, because my cancer was very hormone positive, it was not a mistake for me to become pregnant again. That was kind of a downer, but my mom and I laughed. She thought when I was pregnant with Jackson, she thought he was going to be a little girl with dark hair. And that she had this dream. And then when he was a little boy and didn't really have much in here at all, she's like, I still think that little girl's in your future. And I thought, there's just a grandma really, yearning for another child that, I'm probably not going to be able to give her. But then we prayed about it a lot and decided to maybe check out the adoption avenue, and we picked a great agency from Indianapolis, and we started our journey. And about 18 months in, a wonderful birth mother by the name of Nicole made the completely selfless decision that was not easy for her to allow us to have the privilege of adopting her daughter and raising her as our own. And I thank her every day for her decision. And, I hope that one day the discussion can be changed, and it's not, how can somebody give up their baby? How can somebody give up their child? And then it can shift to, wow, what a loving, godly choice. Because, that feeling and that connection to their child, and that's not an easy decision for anyone to make. So Nicole and I hit it off instantly. Knew that our lives were intertwined by God long before we had met, and it just all went from there. She's a little firecracker. She is a joy, and she completely completed our family. So she fits right in. So, thank you very much.
Very good job, Amber. And of course, a lot of people, I think we do talk about this, that when you go for a cancer doctor, a lot of doctors recommend an abortion right away because they will not treat you. Is that right?
When you're as early as I was, only being 12 weeks, and I received adriamycin, which is considered like a red devil, drug. I lost my hair. It's an intense chemotherapy drug. And like I said, other parts of my country, I know women were being told that, terminating the pregnancy was an option, and in some cases the only option. So I give my doctor a ton of credit too.
Well, I'll tell you, when we were talking about this, Mark and I nominated your family. And different ones, when I mentioned this, they know the story, so you're well known in the story. So we congratulate you. And this goes, the right to life is stress, adoption, not abortion. I mean, this is something that, if all mothers would choose life, and I know so many people probably hear it as either been adopted, or they know someone in the family has been adopted, or our family has been touched in different ways. So we thank you very much for sharing your story. And the centerpiece on the table is yours, as compliments of Right to Life for what you've done. And Steve Belcher for donating it. We appreciate that as well. So congratulations both of you for sharing the story. She looks like it. Emerson. Well, congratulations. Thank you very much, Bill. Real proud of this one day. Monica, Ray, and your family, you come up here. Each year, Right to Life tries to recognize individuals that have gone beyond the call of duty to help the movement. And this year, I'm not exactly sure who made the call on this, but as Monica mentioned, she is in front of the abortion clinic and doing praying. You guys will step right up there, the whole family. She has been in front of the abortion clinic, praying, counseling. And at this time, I'm going to ask people that have been up to the abortion clinic, that have been up to this, or else the one in Louisville. I know the you brothers are here, so they do that. Stand up. The ones that have been at abortion clinics, that's been up there to pray, or don't be bashful, stand up. I know that several of them have. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Because I have been a very little, but when I've been there, you take a lot of abuse. There have been people going down the road waving at you, and they're not waving their hand either. And so, I mean, it's a real tribute to the family. Monica, I'm going to have you as a spokesman. I want you to introduce your children. You have 6 children, 4 here. Okay.
Dale, and then Isaac's right there, Alexis, Gianna, Maria.
And you have 2, tell us a little bit about them.
Yes, okay, my oldest daughter is about to make her solemn profession. She's a Carmelite nun in Nebraska, and this December she'll make her final solemn profession. And she's praying for the world, and especially intensive praying for the pro-life movement. And then my son Andre is discerning a vocation to the priesthood in the seminary at the Bishop of Families.
Since all the families look at long, we want to stand right on the other side. Step right up here. The 2016 Pro-Life Award in appreciation to Monica and Dale Seeker and family for their humanitarian efforts in saving unborn lives through abortion. From your Christian brothers and sisters in Christ, during the Right Life Banquet 2016. Congratulations to you and your family, because I know there's days that you would rather be doing something else, but our hats are off to you, because there's a lot of people. I know my wife goes up there quite a bit, and I know you catch a lot of reviews, but thank you. You're saving one life at a time. Okay. Congratulations.
Just thank you so very, very much, because it's all God's work. He's called us to that. He provides the graces. And I have to say real quickly, it was a really difficult day there. We thought we had saved a little baby last week. It ended up showing up, and I was in tears most of the day. It was her heart. And just in general, it was a rough day. And I tell you what, I had thoughts about not even coming to see this. It was that bad of a day, and I didn't experience those. And so you have this is confidential. God is, so good. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Here, I'll give you the. Thank you very much. I tell you, not only thanks to them, but thanks to everyone who's up there and does work like that because it's a thankless job and somebody's got to do it. And I do want to mention, keep your prayers past the showers. He was supposed to be here tonight to do the appeal, and he's under the weather, so do keep him in your prayers. And he's been very valuable help to me in the office. A lot of computer work, does our website, and he's my text manager. Also want to give a special thank you to Alan and Dan McAtee for the equipment here tonight. I mean, we couldn't have done it without it, and saved a little bit more stress. At this time, the program, I do want to take time to talk a little bit about the donation. There's envelopes on the table. Do what you can. You know, I know you're being asked to give a lot of good charities, and there's other outside organizations, other pro-life organizations, you have your own church, but we do not get any grants. Everything is donations. We started years ago with a paper drive and a can drive, and that has kept going, but it's way down because we've got to read some paper into it and get all over the internet. So, profits from tonight's banquet sets us up for next year. Also, is a big help to the Pregnancy Care Center as well. And we work hand in hand. It's not the only donation we give, but we try to encourage them. Thanks to Rwanda and Denny and all the people that work at the Pregnancy Care Center. Donna Gentry, that was her, she set that up back years ago. And we don't know how many lives that has touched over the years. So, whatever you can give will help us. And we try to do what we can to help other organizations do. Women's Resource Center. And of course, they're talking about getting an ultrasound machine that's the window to the womb. Poor abortion people do not want individuals to see ultrasound. But once they see the baby moving around, they've been told it's lost. So, but there'll be baskets at the end of the table, and after the main speaker, we will have you pass them. It's not like a church collection plate, but do what you can. It would be appreciated.